Hey y'all, Rhonda here. If you saw my last video, I received this diamond press haul, and it is an safari African theme. Not all of it has to be for that. You can use it for all kinds of things, but there's a lot of, with the animals, a lot of safari influence here, and it's helping to raise money for a family in Africa that need a well so they can have fresh water, and two of their kids are wanting to go to nursing school. So anyway, applaud to Diamond Press. So I've been looking at these, pondering, what shall we do first? Well, it's a given I want to work with these stamps because they are gorgeous. And I thought we would, we may have to make several here. Well, we're going to, but I couldn't decide if I wanted to use the slimline and do certain things or if I wanted to use this one. I think I'm just going to use this one. And it's going to cover up the whole background. And then, like I said, we'll do a couple of animals out of this one and maybe some leaves out of this one. I mean, who knows? I'm going to be like that, what is it, the Muppet that cooks, oh, and he's chopping and things are flying. That may be what's going to happen. And then I may use something out of this because I like the one of a kind to go in the middle. So then I love this one. But anyway, we gotta reel it in, Rhonda, reel it in. All right. So, I'm always preaching about using my scraps. So I'm trying to use scraps. But I thought, I'm thinking, for this die, I'm going to use this mirror charcoal because that'd be a nice contrast. And then I have some different paper, and I thought we would do some embossing. I'm going to see if these will, because there's a lot of detail in these little animals. Excuse me. And I'm going to see if the embossing glaze, Tim Holtz embossing glaze, is going to be fine enough to show up and not just be a big blob. So anyway, I think we're going to do some embossing. So I have some paper we'll stamp on this. Probably like the giraffe. I got the gray if we're going to do a hippo. The hippo's in there. And then I have different colors for leaves. And I don't know, I was thinking about something bright to go underneath the charcoal, that's going to pop through there. I just grabbed those out of my stash. Who knows? We may end up with a blue or a red or something else. I don't know. But anyway, let me gather this stuff around, and we'll do some stamping and embossing and see what we come up with. All right, let's do some embossing. If I can get this thing open. I still can't get over how pretty these stamps are with all the details. You'll be able to see in a minute. Let's see. I hinged this one. Let's just go ahead and do this one really quick. Very quickly. Let me see, is it lined up? Nope. Okay. If you don't know what I'm doing, join the crowd. No, I hinge all my carrier sheets. So I'm lining that up to make sure it's lined up. Let me get my packing tape. What happens, to me anyway, is you take the, you take the carrier sheet off, to get to your stamps, and it disappears. I mean, it is clear after all. And so I take my tape, put it down, and I'm going to lay, is this going to be long enough? Just barely. Going to lay this halfway through, pull that over, burnish it really well, and then take my scissors and this little extra right there, just trim that off, even with the carrier sheets. Like that. Oh, I gotta get my trash can. I was at the Dollar Tree, and my big gripe, I know I'm going on a side road here, is that how a lot of, especially bathroom, I'm gonna turn my light on here, my other light. That's weird. Okay, there we go. Ooh, hello. Let there be light. Anyway, how the small trash cans, they're bigger mouth, and then they, the bottom tapers down. Well, that's great, but they're really lightweight. And so if you put anything in there or like toss anything in there, they just, go over like a bowling pin. And I hate that. So, anyway, I had a box down here with a liner in it, and so I was just, it was kind of between my legs, and so I just scrape everything off, and it just fall in there and just loved it. Well, anyway, I was at the Dollar Tree. That's my daughter's favorite spot. And they have some $5 items. I mean, they have like a really cool journal that I got. I mean, it's like 8.5 by 11. I'll show you that. Really, really nice. And some storage containers that were actually really firm, rigid, and not real, flimsy where they would tear up really easy. Anyway, and then they had this trash can. And I laid eyes on it, and I could hear the angels sing, and I thought, it's tall, it's square, I mean, it's straight up and down. I'm in love. Well, how come it's not right under me, receiving scraps and trash? Because it's over there. And every time I walk by, I think, oh, I need to get a liner, and then anyway, it's still not there. But it's going to be. So anyway, this is what I do. And then when you open this up, you don't have to worry about that. Of course, if you don't have glare, see, look, it just disappears. And then when you got a bunch of crap on your desk, then it really disappears. And then, oh my gosh. So anyway, this is what I do to all my stamps. If they're on a carrier like this, I hinge my little carrier. So that's that. All right. So what are we going to do? Oh, we were going to do the giraffe. Let's do the giraffe first because I put the tape away. Oh, and I just got this at, you get it at Walmart, Hoblob, most places. Anyway, it's just Scotch. You can use any brand. I mean, it doesn't have to be like high-powered stuff or anything. Anyway, this is just really easy to tear off and maneuver and all that. So this is what I use, and it lasts a long time. So that's what I use. All right. Let me get my little stamping platform, which this is a must tool. Makes all the difference in the world because, people will come in the store and say, oh, I'm just not a good stamper. I just don't stamp anymore. I just don't even mess with it. And I'm like, get you one of these. You'll be a professional in no time. All right. Let's see if I can grab a hold of this. So this is actually pretty thick cardstock, and it's smooth. You want smooth, smooth, smooth. Because if you have any of that with the linen texture, it's not gonna, you'll have little hit and miss places in it just because of the texture. All right, so usually if I've got a long piece like this, I butt it up against the top just so if something happens and it sticks and pulls and whatever, it'd be easier to line up like that. And if you ever have any problems, just take you a little piece of tape like that, and it gives you a little more holding power. All right, let's do Mr. Giraffe. I thought this would be fun because a giraffe is kind of that color, kind of like what you see here. You can see there, and with darker spots. So I didn't want anything really dark, and so Tim Holtz Distress Embossing Glaze. So what this is, you can actually see through it. So if I was to stamp and color this image, and then if I were to take, where's my little, here it is. Oops, excuse me. Okay, this is a Distress Embossing Dauber, which is the same thing as the Versamark. I mean, that's what it's a sticky clear ink. This just happens to have a dauber on the top. And what you can do is take this and like zhuzh over it like that. Or if you had some words that were stamped or something, zhuzh this over, and then use your embossing glaze, which they come in 5 billion different colors. Shake this over, heat it up, and you can actually still see what's underneath. So you can still read the text, you can still see the image, whatever it may be. So anyway, I just thought that would be a good choice. All right, put that down and pick up Mr. Giraffe or Mrs. Giraffe. Anyway, I do this just to make sure there's no air bubbles in there. And, and I always forget this. And I'm glad I remembered. I can scoop my stuff around here. I'm drinking heavy tonight, straight out of the bottle. Gotta stay hydrated. Anyway, if you don't need a bunch of extra sugar, need to stay hydrated, which is very, very, very important. Gatorade Zero. No, zero sugar. And this one's berry. This is my favorite. And this is 28 ounces, which you need about 3 of these a day. Not just Gatorade, but I mean water. But anyway, this is really good. So, I mean, like if you're sick, you know, you got the throw ups or whatever, and you need some fluids, and you don't need the sugar, which, you know, usually if you're sick like that, you do need the sugars. But anyway, that's my little go-to. I love that. So I'm hitting the bottle. All right, what are we doing? Here we are. All right, so let's take some Versamark, which is a clear sticky ink. And yes, it is, that's what it's supposed to look like. But what happens is, you know, there's residue left on your stamps. And so, you know, if you stamp it with a different color or whatever, and even if you wipe it off a little bit, you're still going to have some ink residue on there. And then you ink it up with this, you know, you're going to get a little bit of this, which is no big deal. I mean, you know, I mean, it's just fine. It's not going to come through. I mean, it may do a little bit, but you're going to emboss it anyway. So it doesn't matter. I think I need to get a re-inker or get a new pad. So you can feel that it's sticky when you lift it up like that. Okay, let's ink it up. And let's do the Stamparoo. Gently push. And I mean, you don't want to give, you know, chest compressions. You don't want to do in CPR or anything. But just a firm pressure, which I have one of those hockey puck things here. Oh, Lord, somewhere. Oh, Jesus, help me. Anyway, those hockey puck things do help. Oh, wait a minute. Here it is. So instead of like pushing, you know, like that, you do this number and it gives you more even pressure. So that's a nice little tool. Looks pretty good. It's a little faint in one area, so let's just do it again. Just because we can, because we're using a stamp platform. And whenever I do this, I like to move it. No, I like to, you know, firm pressure, hold it down, and I like to wait a few seconds, and that way it gives the ink a second or two to, you know, make contact with the paper and kind of get on the paper, kind of sink it in just a little bit. So let's do this again, and we'll kind of concentrate right there because it was a lot lighter. Oh, dadgummit, and I went to talk about it and it still didn't do it, and I have it out here. Really? Embossing powder, I mean, embossing buddy. This is EK Success, EK Tools. Anyway, it has some little powder in there, and you do this number, and so you're embossing because your fingers have oil on them and paper. Anyway, this just keeps from the embossing powder getting in the areas you don't want and sticking. We'll try this a little bit. And I talk about it, and I set it out, and I write myself a note, and I still forget it. Anyway, it does really make a difference. It does. Okay, so let me just do this again, just in case I got any powder on the little inky area. Which you'd be surprised, even if I went over the inked part right now with this, it's still going to be sticky. It's still going to accept the glaze. Or the powder, embossing powder, whatever. It just is what it is. Okay. Oh, there's my paper there. So you got to be careful with certain paper and certain tape. Okay. So, and that's just a clear, it's what they call like a watermark. It's just a clear, sticky ink. So let's grab something. Oh, let me turn this around. I'm always laughing because I need a scratch piece of paper and just something really quick to make a note on. I never can find a scratch piece of paper. All right. So this is the embossing glaze. And it has some chunks in there. It's no big deal. You can just smush them with your finger when you get them back in there. All right. So let's tap this off. And I like to do this. See, there's a little spot right there. Can you see? And it's just from oil or something on my fingers. I'm gonna bump you. Let's see. I need a little brush. Hang on. I'm gonna move you. Hang on. I gotta get in this drawer. Okay, we'll just use this one. That's the first thing I grabbed. So you can take just a little paintbrush, a little dry paintbrush, and then just dust that off. Comes right off. And if something happened and you say you did that, see I messed up his tail? Have no fear. Just put a little more glaze on there. And looky there. Can't tell anything happened. All right, I'm going to try to get all this off that I can. I just don't want any extra. I don't normally do this, but there's such fine lines. And that actually looks pretty good. Like I said, if there's any little extras, which we're going to die cut this out if it works. Yeah, okay. So let's put our, and see, like I said, you could just, see, that's all you do. And the little clumps are gone. All right, and right back in the jar. So you can't even tell we used any. And I like to use this on the scrap piece of paper because this helps from sticking, because like I said, it's been handled by, because it's a invoice. So from the factory, or I mean from the company, whatever, and then I got it and, you know, fingers all over it. So anyway, it's always nice to do this, and that kind of keeps it from, you know, any extra sticking to it. If you remember to do it. You probably would. I wouldn't. I don't. Okay. All right. Okay, so now we're going to heat emboss. So you notice that it's dull. Okay. So we need to take our handy dandy little heating tool. And no matter what brand you have, what style you have, I always wait, you know, 15 seconds or so for it to get good and hot. Heat it up. Just be careful where you aim it. You don't want to melt something. I don't want to put it on my little plant over here. Okay. And if it's a smaller piece of paper, you may have to use some tweezers or something to hold it, because the heat will blow and, you know, get you. It'll be hot. And you're not going to do this number. You're going to put it in one spot and you're going to wait. So like I said, these are little plastic beads you're melting. So that'll get heated up, and then it will, once it kind of starts, then you start moving. There it goes. Okay, let me show you the difference here. See how that's shiny? That's where it's melted. And the other is dull, no melty. Okay. So let me get this up. Like I said, once it gets to melting, and then you just slowly move, because you don't want to stay in one area, because you will burn it. And there's some, you know, machines that will heat faster than others, but they all do the same job. And then you can look and make sure everything is shiny. Spot there. Sometimes you have a little problem spot that didn't want to give it up. So see how it's all shiny now? That means it's all melted, and it looks pretty good, actually. It kind of bubbled up weird. Oh, I guess because it's so fine. That's kind of weird. It should be all smooth. Interesting. See how it's kind of splotchy? That's just weird. Let's do it again. Let's see what the what is here. Maybe it's the paper, maybe it's the operator. Okay, look, I remembered this time. Okay. And remember now, if you pick up the same stamp, it has residue on there. So you don't want to like put it down and pick it up and put it down and pick it up, because you're going to have all these little spots and it's not going to fit. It's not going to fit. Okay. Well, let me grab another piece of paper. Okay. Got too much stuff around me. All right, so I got another piece of paper. Actually, it's not as thick. Anyway, and sometimes if you don't get the result that you want, sometimes it's the paper. Sometimes it's the stamper. But just remember, it's paper. There's no paper police that's going to come get you and take you to jail if you don't do it right the first time. It's just paper. All right. Let's ink this baby up. Okay, and I'll speed up a little bit here. Get this. That's pretty light. Can't remember which one is the juicier of the two. So we'll just use both. Like I said, both of them need to be inked up, re-inked. Okay. remember, if you have any questions or if there's anything that you want to see or you want me to elaborate on, just put them in the comments and say, hey, put this a little darker. Say, I want to see this or I want to see that, or why this or why that. If you got to do it a couple of times, you got to do it a couple of times. I'm just saying. I'm going to hold that, let that sink in a little bit. Play a little hockey, air hockey. Okay, I'm going to do it one more time just because it's me. Okay, and you know, it was probably fine, but oh, come on. Okay, let's try it. And then you have to be careful doing that because you can move it a little bit and get a ghost image. We'll see. I may be showing you what not to do tonight. All right, let's bring back our little paper here and see. If we got a ghost image, then I'll just redo it. Because that's what, you know, that's why I use the stamp platform to help you, but it still happens. Sorry for the noise. Oh, see, look. See how it kind of all smushed together? Because I really did it too many times. I moved it just a little bit. So let me do it the right way. Let me just a couple of times and be done. Because if I was to melt that, it would just be all, you wouldn't have any of the detail like that was on the last one. So let me redo this one and I'll be back. Okie doke. I think it is just the way the stamp, see this one's, and it's funny because the color is different and I use the same embossing powder. Had to be something with this paper. But the reason why it's not showing up just a solid, because it's little lines all in there. And yeah, that was a little light right there, but that's okay. We'll work with it. No biggie, but that's interesting. That's a much better one. Okay. Okay, is that cooled off? Let's put this to the side. And where's my, trying to be good and put this back where it belongs. All right, and I'll probably do the hippo. I think that'd be a good contrast, the tall with the short and then the brown with the gray. Really like that. Oh, put that out of the way. All right, so what I'm going to do is move that stuff out of the way. All right, I'm going to cut this background out. We're going to do it in the black charcoal, or the charcoal color, almost black. And then I'm going to cut out some leaves and a sentiment. I think some different color leaves out of this one. And then I think a sentiment out of this one. And maybe leaves, who knows. I think, no, because this one you stamp the leaves and then cut them out. These you don't stamp. They're going to have the little kind of textured, embossed lines and stuff in them. So leaves from here, that background, I'm going to cut that out. And I'm going to ink up, heat emboss, and cut out a hippo. Then I'm going to use the gray paper and then a gray embossing glaze. So let me do that and I'll be right back. Okay, so I did some cutting. So we have our frame here. I cut a couple of backgrounds out because I didn't know what color. So we shall see on that one. And then I stamped and embossed these little guys. And we have our giraffe. And then I did a bunch of leaves, different kind of leaves. So now we just have to arrange them. And I was going to tell you too, on your different dies, if, you know, when you try to put the die up and it's kind of hard to tell exactly what you're going to be cutting, cut an aperture. So just take a scratch piece of paper and put your die on there, and then place your tape where it will kind of hinge. Just makes it easier. So just cut it out. Okay, so you have this little guy. Get rid of that. So then what you do is, where you have your stamped and embossed, you're going to take this and line it up around the image, and you can see exactly where it's going to cut. And then you just fold that over, and then you tape this paper to the paper behind, you know, because it'll be a bigger piece, and then just run all of it through your machine, and then voila. I mean, so you'll know exactly, because if you just try to take this and line it up, it's kind of hard to tell exactly where it's going to cut, and you might have, you know, a bigger area on this side and, you know, no border on this side. So anyway, if there's ever any doubt, just make you a little aperture, and then you can just save this. Instead of cutting it out again, just put that all, you know, with your set, and leave it like so. So anyway, there's that little bit of information. All right. So I cut out just different kinds of greens, and I did a kind of a mustardy color. And so we have the background. So I picked this, and then I picked this one. Like I said, you can kind of play. Here again, I say it's like getting dressed. You have on your little black skirt, you pick your blouse, you pick your jewelry, your purse, your shoes, and sometimes it doesn't look good, and so you need to change your blouse to another one, and then pick out jewelry and blah, blah, blah. So that's how I do this. I'm kind of liking this because that other one's just a little bright. I mean, I was thinking because it would show through really pretty. But with these other colors, I just think it's a little bright. Oop, throw the wrong way away. Throw that one away. All right. So I'm thinking this one. And then what I would do, I mean, you can kind of work with these. And you can even, these that you cut out, you know, for your aperture, cut them out of black or something. And then you can use them. Quit. And you could kind of drop shadow it, or like I said, if it was a black one, then you could put another one back here, kind of like it's in the shadow, so you don't have to just throw that away. But you can kind of take these and play with them a little bit. Where's my hippo? And kind of see where you want these. Kind of get that down. That looks pretty good. And then, and I guess we could go ahead and glue this down because I'm not going to pop it up or anything. But then the next step is just to play with your leaves, like arranging flowers, you know, and start putting some of these here and yonder. Maybe something down here. And like I said, just, you know, just play with it and arrange it. And see what you come up with. Oh, that's kind of interesting. Put that one in the background. That one over. Big leaf here. Anyway, just kind of play with it and see what you think. And then you can bring these guys back in and kind of see what you have. Kind of tweak it a little bit. So that's what I'm going to do. Since I know I'm going to have these in this general area, and I'll probably pop one or two of these up. We just need the background. Excuse me, my nose is itching. Somebody's going to come see me. Like I said, here's some different color. You could take one of those back there. Anyway, so that's the process that I'm going to go through, is just play with these like I'm arranging flowers. And then you can kind of bring these guys back and see what you think. So anyway, I'm just going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and glue the background down. And I'm going to arrange the flowers and then or the leaves, and then go ahead and glue those down. And then I will be back. So let's do that. Make sure you got all the little pieces out, because that's a bear. If you don't have one little piece and you glue it down, it's like, All right, well, let me glue all this down and, like I said, arrange these and glue those down. Okay. So it took a little time, but yeah, and I know I covered up a lot of the background, but more is more. More is better. Anyway, I just think that that's pretty. And so what I did with my little animals here is I have some really low profile pop dots. What do you call it? Whatever you call it. Anyway, it's hunky dory. Anyway, it's really, it's not thick at all. I mean, it's just enough. So I'm going to place these guys like this so we can have some dimension, and we'll have a card. All right, so let me put this gentleman down, or this lady. And I didn't do the bottom because it's going to be kind of smushed. I just wanted the head up. Place him like this. And then our little zebra friend. So on this card I used, what, 3 different sets? But hey. Get off there. Let's do you like right. Be still. Right there. And then hippo, hippo. I think I need one under his head. Did I have one under there? No. I need to slide one under his head. And then I just have to attach it to a card base. I don't know. I like it. I think it's pretty cool. I like the way that the embossing adds some more texture to it. I like the black back there. I mean, it's jungly. Is jungly a word? It looks very jungle-like. Anyway, and then I'm just going to attach it to, well, I don't know, probably a white card base. Yeah, because that'll bring that out. And yeah. All right. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know if you have any questions. Just ask, and I'll do my best to answer them. And until next time, bye for now.